Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening.
Hold one, Andre.
You're not good at this. Get out. Let me tell you a personal story about Vince McMahon.
You just made the list.
Oh my God!
Sorry, no speak English.
Dummy. Goodbye and good night. Hold two, on bar.
It's still real to me, damn it!
Dummy.
This is the worst town I've ever been in.
Hold three, Lamas covers, three-handle family Gradunzel.
Mamma mia!
And now, Unchained.media presents the B Plus Podcast with your host, Greg Unchained.
It's me, Austin! It was me all along, Austin!
Number 4, Armbar.
I will never retire!
I still got 200 more. I got 200 more holes to list.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the B Plus Podcast. I'm your host, Greg Unchained. Today is Sunday. You know what that means. It's time for All the Rest. All the Rest is our weekly episode where I sit down and I break down everything that I watched this week that doesn't fit into the regular categories that we have on the podcast. So for those who aren't in the know, every Wednesday we do the King of Sports cast. That covers Ring of Honor, CMLL, New Japan Pro Wrestling, of course, and Rev Pro over in the UK. On Fridays, I cover everything Aussie Graps. On Saturdays, we do the View from the WWE Universe. Sundays, that's today, that's All the Rest. And Mondays, of course, is the day for the Impact Zone. Tuesdays and Thursdays, those are for bonus episodes if and when they happen, which they will be this week. Big week this week, because we've got Iron Fist Pro to look back at. They just had their first event, and it was fantastic. It was a really fun show, and we're going to talk about that. We also have to look forward to the Super Showdown, which is coming this weekend. Very excited. Flying to Melbourne on Friday morning. Pretty stoked for that, because we've got a big weekend with MCW, Wrestle Rock, and of course, the main event, I suppose, the WWE. But today is Sunday. Like I said, today is All the Rest, and the things that don't fit into those episodes this week are MLW Fusion and Lucha Underground. So let's get straight into it with MLW Fusion. MLW Fusion this week started with Conan and the Lucha Brothers out to talk about Selena. Conan says she's trying to take advantage of the Lucha Brothers, and he says that for every 2 steps she takes, he takes 3, so he's always 1 step ahead, which technically that's inaccurate, because if he takes 3 for every 2, then he's going to exponentially be 1 more step ahead than she. So when she takes 4, he's taking 6. When she takes 6, he's taking 9. So he's going to get 1 step further every time. So he won't always be 1 step ahead like he claimed. Eventually, he'll be so far ahead, it's ridiculous. But this is wrestling. Selena comes out with Ricky Martinez, and she confirms that the Lucha Brothers no longer work with her. She says that they didn't rip up their contracts. She granted them an early release. But, she says, she is merciful, and she is going to give them 1 more chance. Ricky hands them some contracts for them to read. She offers them English classes, some rebranding. She promises to make them huge stars. The Lucha Brothers say something to her in Spanish, and now there's no subtitles, and I don't speak Spanish, but it definitely sounded a lot like, stick this up your ass. That's kind of the impression I got. They were telling her to stick it. That's sort of the end of that. They all leave, and they're not going to go back with Selena, which is good. It's good to say. I mean, being with Conan's not much of an improvement. Conan's kind of a snake, but, it is what it is. We move on. Stud Stable with Colonel Robert Parker taking on the Hart Foundation in a Hurricane 6-man, which is basically just a tornado tag. I don't know why they call it a hurricane when it's a tornado, but, the same. Hart Foundation pick up the win with the Calgary Stampede. It was a good match. Teddy's moonsaults are insanely picture perfect. Teddy Hart's someone who's always had a bit of a bad reputation, but I've kind of always liked the guy, and apparently he's sort of cleaned up his act, which is really good to hear. And yeah, he's having a fantastic run at the moment in MLW with Davey Boy and of course now Brian Pillman Jr. And it's very exciting to see what they're doing. This was a really good match. Yeah, his moonsaults though. highlight of the match, his moonsaults. After the match, Colonel Parker tells Mike Perot that he is done, and the stud stable beat the crap out of him, so that's one less member in the stud stable now. We get a recap for War Games, and then Jimmy Havoc cuts a promo about Sammy's anger being misdirected. After the match, Sammy slapped Jimmy Havoc for some reason, and I said at the time, I said last week, I was like, that doesn't make sense because Jimmy Havoc wasn't involved, but whatever, I guess they're setting up a match. So Jimmy says that his anger is misdirected, which obviously it is. He tells Sammy that what he did after the match is not going to go unpunished. He says that he likes that Sammy is angry because when Sammy is angry, he's going to make mistakes, and Jimmy's not angry. Jimmy's calm. Then we cut across to an MJF promo. MJF, he's telling Arya that he doesn't understand the whole women's wrestling thing. He also doesn't understand the women voting thing. It's such cheap heat, but it's so effective. MJF is the man. MJF is hilarious. I love MJF. The character work that MJF does, if he's not the person who ends up getting picked up for Scarlett Bordeaux's whole talent search thing, I put forward on the Impact Zone podcast, which you'll hear tomorrow on Monday, I put forward himself or Elliot Sexton. They're the two that I think would really suit, maybe even as a tag team. MJF and Elliot Sexton as a tag team. Holy crap. The stupid things they could say. It would be incredible. They're just so clueless and dumb. It's fantastic. They're both such great characters. But MJF is doing a really good job. And yeah, telling Arya he doesn't understand the whole women voting thing was great. She tells him to let her snatch Taya Bold. And that's kind of the end of that. Then MJF and Arya Blake come out to take on Joey Ryan and Taya Valkyrie. Joey Ryan and Taya Valkyrie are wearing matching fluffy boots, which is a nice touch, and the commentators point that out, which was nice as well. MJF and Arya end up winning after MJF pulls Taya in front of Joey's super kick. Arya hits a low blow on Joey Ryan, but the power of his dong is so strong that it breaks her arm. She's double jointed. It does the whole Alexa Bliss thing where she pops her arm so that it looks really brutal. So she low blows him and pops her arm out. And she's walking around with that for the rest of the match. It was pretty brutal. But after the low blow, and he's sort of distracted by that, MJF comes in from behind, rolls him up, grabs the tights, gets the 3 count, and then after the match, he cuts a quick promo about taking the sleaze out of pro wrestling, just like he took bad boy Joey Janela out. Then Joey Janela attacks him from behind, but MJF gets the upper hand. Now this sucks because I'm going to assume it didn't get resolved on these tapings. They're setting up a Joey Janela MJF match, which would have been fantastic. But Joey Janela, as we know, got injured in his match with Psychosis. We're going to be talking about that in the news section coming up in just a few minutes. But yeah, setting up an MJF Joey Janela match that's probably never going to come to fruition. I mean, Joey Janela's going to be out for a while. Maybe when he comes back they can do it. I don't know if MJF will have moved on too far by then. MJF has a very bright future, but he'll still be around when Joey Janela gets back. So, I'm curious to see where this goes, but it's not going anywhere anytime soon, unfortunately. Then we get a recap of Sammy and Jimmy, and then Jimmy's challenge from earlier, and Sammy responds. He says that they were friends, and they were meant to hurt people together. He says that Jimmy is the reason they lost, and he expected more from him. He tells Jimmy he's just another deathmatch garbage wrestler who can't get it done in the ring, and he accepts Jimmy's challenge, because he's going to beat Jimmy, because Jimmy can't get it done. Now, on this month in Puroresu, August ++ episode, Arn Furious had a bit to say about Sami Callihan, basically saying that he doesn't buy anything Sami Callihan's selling, that he doesn't think Sami Callihan sells matches. I disagree. I really enjoy Sami Callihan, and I really enjoyed this promo. I thought this promo showed a lot of fire, showed a lot of intensity. Sami Callihan promos are always really intense. I'm a big fan of what he's doing in MLW. I'm a big fan of what he's doing in Impact, but more so in MLW. I find that the Death Machines a bit more exciting than OVE. But this Sami Callihan Jimmy Havoc match is going to be fantastic. They just had a match over in the UK as part of the Wrestling Media Con part. It was an Impact show at Wrestling Media Con, and it was a fantastic match. And I'm sure that their upcoming match is going to be just as good in MLW. Really looking forward to that. And then we get the main event of the evening. So the MLW shows are pretty short. And like I said, I've said before, they're kind of like a classic old school kind of vibe. There's a lot of promos and then a couple of matches. And it's a really good format, really easy to watch. PCO vs. Brody King was the main event this week. Really fun match. PCO, for those who don't know, he's a big man. He's 50 years old. He's been resurrected. He's a Frankenstein type character. There's actually a documentary we're going to cover in the news section, but why not talk about it now? There's a documentary that I will drop in the show notes. I can't remember what it was called, but it's PCO. It's about 15 minutes. It's on YouTube, and it chronicles his resurrection this year and sort of the resurgence in the career of Pierre-Carl Ouellet. He used to be one of the Quebecers, and now he is PCO. He is reborn, and he's amazing. He talked about it with Jamie Apps on the Bowler podcast, if you want to go back and listen to that. He kills himself every time he goes out there, though. He does such great character work with this Frankenstein-type character that he doesn't need to be killing himself the way he does when he goes out there. So, PCO, slow down a little, man. But at the same time, keep doing what you're doing, because it's very fucking entertaining and everyone's loving it. Brody King is just a beast of a man and such upside on this kid. Very exciting to watch. And these two just go at it in a big man match, and they end up getting a double DQ because they both push the ref down. It's the second time they kind of push the ref away from them when he's trying to stop them. And so they both push him down, and he calls for the double DQ. And they continue to brawl. PCO hits a moonsault on the outside. They continue to brawl until the show goes off the air. Really, really fun closing to the show. And we assume we're going to get another PCO Brody King match down the line. Next week, however, we have Low Key vs. Phoenix, Jimmy Havoc vs. Sami Callihan. So that's going to be a really good episode next week. Very much looking forward to it as they move towards their New York shows. Fury Road, I think it's called, which I'll probably preview next week. Very exciting stuff. Now, it's time to talk about Lucha Underground. Lucha Underground this week. Very good episode. We are moving along towards Ultima Lucha Quattro. Very exciting to be finally getting some build for Ultima Lucha Quattro. It's been kind of unclear as to what the stories are going to be going into Quattro, but now we're starting to get the build for the Ultima Lucha shows. Now, this week's Lucha Underground is coming right off the back of a big week last week. The night where everything changed in Lucha Underground. In one night, Marty the Moth became Lucha Underground Gift of the Gods champion, cashed that championship in, and became the Lucha Underground champion, dethroning Pentagon Dark. So it was a big week that it had to follow, and it managed to deliver. So Matt Striker opens the show with a letter for the audience from Papa Cueto, talking about Marty the Moth and how he thwarted the dreams of the other four luchadors who all wanted to main event Ultima Lucha Quattro. So there's going to be a number one contenders match for tonight. King Cuerno, Pentagon Dark, El Dragon Azteca Jr. and Mil Muertes all facing off. The winner will challenge Marty the Moth at Ultima Lucha Quattro. We cut to the ring, and Jack Evans is there. He tells Melissa Santos to shut the hell up, and he says he quits. But Antonio says, no, you're going to fight tonight. This was a little weird. Why is Antonio there to deliver this message to Jack Evans? Like, no, you're going to have a match tonight. You're not quitting. When just a second ago, Matt Striker was reading a letter from Antonio Cueto. If Antonio Cueto had to send a letter to the crowd for the first announcement, why was he there for this? It didn't make much sense, but Antonio Cueto was there, and yeah, he tells Jack Evans that he is going to have a match tonight, and if he wins, he can walk out the door, but if he loses, he will never leave the temple again, because he's been chosen to be sacrificed to the gods. That was terrible. He's been chosen to be sacrificed to the gods. Out comes Matanza. Evans tries to run away. He tries to run away and he runs up to the doors, but then the doors open and there's Matanza, and Matanza chases him down. Ultimately, he gets him back in the ring. He hits the sacrifice to the gods in the middle of the ring. 1, 2, 3. Jack Evans is gone. Sacrificed. Dead. I've stopped counting now because I'm not doing written reviews anymore for the website, just because of time constraints and, with my life duties and my work duties and other things that I have to do. I'm not able to maintain written reviews for every show and also do the podcast. And I put priority on the podcast because, it's kind of what I like to do most. So I haven't been doing the written reviews, so I've completely lost count of how many people are dead, injured, or sacrificed this season. But we're into the 20s now at this point, I'm sure of it. And Jack Evans is the latest. He's gone. I'm not too disappointed, to be honest with you. I'd like to see I hope Jack Evans is still going to be around in some capacity, But, could do with a character refresh. I think that would be a good thing for Jack Evans. So maybe he'll come back with a mask. Maybe he'll come back as a dark version. I don't know. I'm curious to see what happens here. But for now, Jack Evans is gone from Lucha Underground. Up next, we get a Trios Championship match. The newly formed team of Exolicious, Evilise, and Joey Ryan take on the champions Darga, Jeremiah Snake, and Cobra Moon, the Reptile Tribe. Before the match can start, the Rabbit Tribe, Paul London, comes out to the stage and introduces, for the first time ever to the temple, El Bunny and the Unholy Father of Time, the Enlightened One, the White Rabbit. The White Rabbit, of course, is Killer Cross of Impact Wrestling fame, of AAA fame, of hopefully soon New Japan Pro Wrestling fame. We know they've got their eye on him. We talked about this on the news segment last week, so that's very exciting stuff. El Bunny, however, it's not clear who it is, but we're pretty sure it's Masquerita Sagrada under a new mask, which is what I hope they can do with Jack Evans as well. Just put him under a mask or something and give him a new character like they've done here for El Bunny. So El Bunny and the White Rabbit and Paul London are at ringside to watch this match. The match gets underway. Jeremiah Snake takes the lollipop and eats it. Big missed opportunity from the believers in the temple. Why they didn't start a "you sick fuck" chant, I do not know. But yeah, Jeremiah Snake just eats the lollipop, because, why not? This was a pretty good match. It probably went a little bit too long for my liking, but it was still a fun match to watch. Joey Ryan ends up tapping out to a Darga submission after a pretty good match. The Rabbit Tribe descend on the ring immediately and attack Exo and Joey. Evilise comes in for the save, but gets completely brutalized. The Rabbit Tribe put them against the ropes, and the White Rabbit sort of, holds up his little watch. In Alice in Wonderland, the White Rabbit has the clock that's on the chain, the watch on the chain, the timepiece. I don't know what it is. It's not a watch, right? Because a watch is something you wear on your wrist. It's the timepiece. And he holds it up and he's like, tick-tock, tick-tock, and the crowd start chanting tick-tock. Pretty cool. I'm going to assume that the Rabbit Tribe are going to run straight through this new team of Exolicious, Joey Ryan, and Evilise, and go straight on to face the Trios champions. I imagine they're going to have the Trios champions at Ultima Lucha, which is weird, because we're looking at another heel versus heel dynamic, which is something the Lucha Underground have been doing a lot lately, and it's a little odd. But, they seem to make it work. It worked for some reason with Worldwide Underground and Reptile Tribe. It managed to work. It's kind of like in New Japan, how they have levels of heel, where you can be a heel team like the Bullet Club, and then you go up against a heel team like Suzuki Gun, and you're the face because they're the bigger heel. The Reptile Tribe are the bigger heel here, so, Rabbit Tribe will kind of become default faces, I assume. I'm interested to see how it plays out. Up next was probably the most exciting thing about this show coming in, the previously announced nunchuck match between Drago and Aerostar and Jake Strong. It was kind of unclear what a nunchuck match was, but we knew it was a nunchuck match, so the odds were it was going to include nunchucks, which Drago is quite proficient in the use of. So it wasn't really clear what the rules were going to be for this nunchuck match. We just knew that there were nunchucks involved, but it was kind of exciting going in. The match itself ended up kind of just being disappointing. There was some pretty brutal spots. Aerostar got dropped from the second story to the floor. It sounded brutal. You didn't actually see the landing, but the sound effect, it was probably piped in, but it sounded brutal. Aerostar managed to recover from that, though, in a matter of minutes and perform a dive from the balcony. He and Drago were both laying into Jake Strong with the nunchucks. Strong ultimately overcame them and managed to get Aerostar to tap out with the ankle lock. Drago comes in for the save and he gets his ankle broken, so now he's going to be out with an injury as well. It's really weird. There was a really weird dynamic here because Jake Strong was essentially the babyface, booking-wise. I guess you could say he was the monster heel, overcoming two baby faces in a 2-on-1 match, but having two baby faces with access to weapons lose to a heel, I don't know, it just seems counterproductive to me. Like, why would I cheer these guys when they're pathetic? They can't get the job done, even 2-on-1. Like, I get the idea of the monster heel, but he's not Matanza, He's not even Mil Muertes. He's Jake Strong. He's a big guy, but he's not that big. And so to have him run through two of the best built guys in the company. It just didn't feel right. It just didn't feel right to have this be a handicap match with the numbers in favor of the faces. Didn't feel right, and something just felt off about it. And like I said, the match just wasn't as great as I thought it could have been. But that was all made up for with the main event. The main event, King Cuerno versus Mil Muertes versus Pentagon Dark versus El Dragon Azteca Jr. This match was fantastic. Phoenix came out for some reason and got in Melissa Santos' face. El Dragon Azteca Jr. comes out again and makes the save. And they brawl to the back. And so we're clearly going to get El Dragon Azteca Jr. just got taken out of this match by Phoenix, essentially. We're clearly going to get those two at Ultima Lucha. So this match is all building towards Ultima Lucha. Very exciting stuff. Pentagon Dark spends too long playing with the fans, doing his Cero Miedo stuff, and King Cuerno takes advantage. Muertes fires up, but the Mac shows up and takes him out. So we're also going to get Mil Muertes and the Mac at Ultima Lucha, we assume. I mean, here he is taking Mil Muertes out of contention for the title. Pentagon hits the Destroyer on Mil Muertes, super kicks Cuerno out of the ring, and Pentagon gets the win. So we're going to get Pentagon Dark getting a rematch against Marty the Moth for the Lucha Underground Championship at Ultima Lucha Quattro. And then the Mac gets on the mic and says that after their haunted house match, he isn't scared anymore. He's not scared to die, but Mil Muertes should be. Because at Ultima Lucha Quattro, he is challenging Mil Muertes to a death match. He then says, "Rest in peace, motherfucker." And that's the end of the show. That's the end of the show. It was really, really good. Really good close to the show. The opening to the show was really good as well. I mean, there was a lot to like about this episode. Coming off a really hot week with Marty the Moth becoming champion and everyone kind of, wondering what the hell's going on. This week really managed to deliver solid action, solid story, and yeah, we're building towards Ultima Lucha Quattro, which is fantastic. It's great to finally know sort of what the direction is going in towards those shows. So Lucha Underground this week, I give it a big old watch. Definitely want to watch Lucha Underground this week. The main event was fantastic, very, very well told, very, very fun match, lots of good action, and overall telling that story of where we're headed. And that's the important stuff, is where we're headed. Ultima Lucha 4 is going to be fantastic. Ultima Lucha Quattro is going to be fantastic, and I'm looking forward to it a lot. But that does it for this week in All the Rest TV, I suppose, All the Rest TV portion. Now let's take a look at this week in wrestling news. Top of the news this week in the world of WWE, at least for me, the top of the news for me. A lot of people are going to disagree. A lot of people are going to say the third thing I talk about is the top of the news. But for me, top of the news this week was the Kings of Wrestling reunited. The Kings of Wrestling, of course, Claudio Castagnoli and Chris Hero. They started as the Kings of Wrestling in Chikara. They also wrestled in CZW, Ring of Honor, a few other places. They were kind of the Kings of Wrestling at the time. They were the Kings of Independence, and they won many tag team titles as the Kings of Wrestling. They are now, of course, known as Cesaro and Cassius Ohno. At an NXT house show during the week, at an NXT live event during the week, we had a situation where Cassius Ohno was facing off against Adam Cole. The match ended in a DQ when Undisputed Era got involved, and then out came Cesaro to even the odds. Huge Kings of Wrestling chants, huge pop, everyone loved it. They get on the mic, they put each other over a bunch, and it's not sure whether there's going to be a match, but you got to think there must be a match coming soon. Maybe the next time they're back in Orlando for a live event at this particular place. I don't know. Hopefully, these two get to have another match, maybe even on NXT TV. I would like to see that at a takeover. Kings of Wrestling reuniting to take on the Undisputed Era, put the Undisputed Era over for the tag team titles, perhaps. I think that would be very exciting. Kings of Wrestling reunited, potentially for one night only, but hopefully we get to see this again. Cesaro is a little busy with, his other tag team, The Bar, going for the tag team titles in Melbourne, but, he can be in two tag teams, right? I mean, one on NXT, one on SmackDown, why not? Cesaro's a machine. Let him do it. Moving on, Raw had the lowest ratings ever in history. I didn't write down the actual ratings, but apparently this week, everyone's been reporting about it. Raw had the lowest ratings ever. I thought Raw this week was actually pretty good. So the numbers don't reflect it. There's a number of things that go into it, obviously. You've got things like the football's back on, the American Monday Night Football is back on, and Raw goes head-to-head with that. So the numbers always dip them, but it has the lowest ratings ever. It's kind of a shock. We are, however, living in 2018. I don't watch on TV, right? I mean, sometimes I watch on Foxtel if I have the day off and I'm sort of chilling at home. I'll watch on Foxtel Live, but I watch it on demand. I watch later, and I don't know how that counts towards ratings. I mean, this is all American ratings anyway, but generally speaking, I'm sure that there's a lot of Americans that do the same thing. They watch it on demand the next day, so they can fast forward through the ads, they can fast forward through the bits they don't want to see. A lot of people, I mean, WWE have the biggest social media presence ever. Like, so many people watch the video clips on YouTube, watch the highlights and what have you. A lot of people even just watch the GIFs on Twitter. Like, you can literally keep up with what's happening in wrestling just by watching the GIFs. Like, even if you didn't watch Raw this week, if you are a wrestling fan of any kind, you definitely saw the Brie Bella Liv Morgan knockout. You saw that this week, no matter what. No matter whether you watch Raw or not, you saw that. Because that's the reach that WWE have now. So the TV ratings, I mean, I hate to be that guy, but the TV ratings kind of don't matter anymore. You want to say, oh, if no one's watching. People are watching. People are watching. They just might not be watching on TV, You got to hope that they'll be watching for SmackDown 1000, though. This is the big one. This is the one that other people are going to say is the biggest news. And I agree to an extent, but I just think the Kings of Wrestling is far more exciting, so I wanted to lead with that. Evolution are reuniting. Evolution. Ric Flair. Randy Orton. Triple H. Batista. Batista had a big whine on social media that he wasn't invited to SmackDown 1000. He was working us. Or the plans changed. Who knows? Either the plans changed or he was working us. I have a feeling maybe Shawn Michaels isn't able to be cleared. Maybe Shawn Michaels isn't cleared, so we can't have DX against Brothers of Destruction, and maybe we're going to get some form of Evolution against Brothers of Destruction. Maybe it's going to be DX-volution versus the corporate ministry, because, the Saudi prince really loves the 90s. I don't know. Just saying the Saudi prince thing pisses me off all over again. But, it's happening. It's happening. I've really got to put up that Facebook poll about whether you want us to cover that or not. Evolution, reuniting, SmackDown 1000, could be a one-night-only deal, could be a storyline of some kind. With the upcoming Saudi show, which we know the Saudi prince loves his nostalgia acts, with that upcoming show, you got to wonder if maybe they're going to build to something, because this is happening October 16th, and of course the Saudi show is in November, so there's potential that this could lead to something, but it's not clear yet. I guess we'll just have to stay tuned to find out. Also announced this week was a big Madison Square Garden event. So WWE returned to Madison Square Garden December 26th, and all the matches that have been announced are the same feuds we're watching now. AJ and Joe, Charlotte and Becky, Miz and Daniel Bryan, etc., etc. Kind of off-putting, being that, these feuds have all been going for a while already, and they're still going to be going on December 26th. I know, card subject to change, but, generally speaking, they don't change all that much. So I'm a little taken, it's also, we know that on the other side, on the Raw side of things, the Shield and the Dogs of War, or whatever they're calling themselves, are going to be feuding still in December as well because of the leaked TLC matches and what have you. It's a little concerning that these stories are going to be treading water for that long, but, maybe they'll find an interesting way to keep them going. I don't know. We've got to give them the benefit of the doubt. Madison Square Garden, it's a Madison Square Garden event. It's not going to be aired. It's not going to be on TV or anything. So who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? It could be completely different. In other WWE news, we found out this week that WWE are filming some kind of Halloween special with the Hardys at the Hardy compound. It was originally reported that this was a pilot for an ongoing sitcom featuring the Hardys, a sitcom about their life. Not sure how well that would play. I mean, Matt Hardy, I have faith in Matt Hardy to pull off pretty much anything, but I don't know, a Woken Hardy sitcom? It seems a little much. I don't know. It could be fantastic. It could be the best thing WWE's ever produced, or it could be absolute trash. But now it looks like it's just going to be a one-off Halloween special, according to the latest reports. Either way, the Halloween special makes more sense to me. I feel like that would be easier to do. It's going to be easier to maintain buzz around. But an ongoing sitcom, that's... I don't know. I'm interested to see what comes of this, definitely. Speaking of weird TV choices, Big Show has been announced as a recurring character in Season 2 of the SyFy hit series Happy. Happy is super psychedelic, and I haven't watched it yet. It's on my list, and I want to get to it. It's on Netflix, and I want to get to it. But in Season 2, Big Show is going to be there as Mr. Blue, the main character, Mr. Blue's cellmate. So he's going to be there for a bit, obviously. I mean, when you're in prison, there's not a lot you can do. So the characters that are there become very important recurring characters. So Big Show's going to be in Season 2 of Happy. So keep your eyes on Netflix for Season 2 of Happy when that comes out. It's going to be interesting to see how Big Show goes as an actor. Getting towards the end of our WWE news, we have WWE filing for a whole bunch of WCW trademarks. WCW Monday Nitro, WCW Thunder, WCW Halloween Havoc, WCW Bash at the Beach. Why are WWE filing for a bunch of WCW trademarks now? I mean, they've owned WCW for so long. I don't know. Are they doing a revival? Maybe something to do with Fox? Maybe on Fox they're going to do a revival. We're going to get WCW and they're going to go head-to-head with themselves? That'd be crazy. There's no way they'd go head-to-head with themselves, right? I don't know. This is interesting development. It could just be to do with licensing toys or, nostalgic merch. I don't know. It's WWE is such a huge business, it's kind of hard to guess what they're playing at, But WCW, something to keep an eye on. WCW could be making some kind of comeback brand-wise, whether it's just with merch or with a potential TV show or who knows. Very interesting stuff that WWE would be filing for. WCW trademarks, very interesting. Rob Conway this week guest coached at the Performance Center we talked about last week. Hurricane Shane Helms was guest coaching this week. Rob Conway, former NWA World's Heavyweight Champion, was guest coaching at the Performance Center. These Performance Center kids get the absolute world-class, best of the best teaching. It's incredible. Just WWE's whole system now with the Performance Center and everything that they do, provides a life after wrestling for a lot of these wrestlers. So Rob Conway's not getting as many bookings now, but he can go and he can guest coach, and he could always open up his own school. That's always been an option for people, but WWE's a steady, that's a big paycheck. So it's really cool that they get to do this for the guys and look after the boys even when they can't go in the ring anymore. This is a win-win-win for everyone. The Performance Center is such a great system, and you just look at the talent that's getting put out through the Performance Center. This is amazing. The future is very, very bright for wrestling and for WWE in particular. Now let's take a look at some contract stuff. There's not a lot in contract stuff this week. What we know, however, is that WWE did sign Mia Yim, the current Mae Young competitor, a former Knockouts champion, 29 years young. Fantastic talent, absolutely fantastic talent, tearing it up, and she is now signed to an NXT contract. She has reported to the Performance Center. She's there, she's training, she's working out, she's ready to go. She should be making her debut on NXT sooner than later, I imagine. Given her Mae Young Classic status, I think that she'll definitely be heading straight to NXT as quickly as possible. In other contract news, WWE are supposedly scouting Bandido. At this point, who aren't they scouting? Basically, if it's a wrestler whose name you've heard, WWE are watching them, is basically what I've gathered from this. But apparently they're interested in signing Bandido, which makes a lot of sense. They're making a big push in the Spanish market. They've always wanted to, and the only real success they've had there was Eddie Guerrero and, of course, Rey Mysterio. Sin Cara kind of failed, Kalisto's kind of failed. At the moment, they're pushing Andrade Cien Almas. Vince gets really high on these Spanish guys, and Alberto Del Rio failed miserably. Alberto Del Rio this week just trashing Paige on Instagram, just talking shit about her in his comments. Like, dude, grow up. Like, you guys broke up. You see, like, if you've moved on, right? What the hell are you doing just trash-talking your ex in your Instagram comments? It's really petty. It's really, like, that's petty when my friends from high school do it. You know? You don't want to see someone who's supposedly an icon. A professional wrestling icon. You don't want to see a person like that doing it. It's really petty and pathetic. Anyway, bringing it back. WWE are very high on trying to get that Spanish crossover market. The southern United States has an ever-growing Spanish-speaking population, and so they're always looking to market to that crowd, and they haven't really ever been successful in doing so. And Bandido is their latest guy they've got their eyes on, who may be able to speak to that. So it's not surprising, really, in any way. We know they were also looking at the Lucha Brothers, but that has fallen through because the Lucha Brothers have signed to continue on with MLW through 2019. So Bandido is the next on the list, I suppose. Very exciting stuff for Bandido, straight off the back of All In, straight off the back of Bowler, and now he has WWE interest. Very, very exciting stuff for Bandido. Moving on, taking a look at indie news and, well, I guess other news, because, Impact's not really an indie, but David Arquette is set for Impact, kind of. Arquette has been making a comeback on the indies. He's wrestled at Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. He's also wrestling at BCW. That's the American BCW, not the Australian BCW. And yeah, this BCW company are actually doing a one night only with Impact. It's their 25th anniversary show, and they're doing this as a one night only with Impact. Impact are going to film it. It's going to go on the Global Wrestling Network. That's taking place on October the 6th. And David Arquette is in a tag team match with his tag team partner RJ City against the team of Halal Beefcake. Halal Beefcake. Okay. Yes. That's a tag team name. Halal Beefcake. Who are these guys? The one night onlys are a wealth of entertainment to see some of these indie guys. And this is all part of, Impact's new push. And we talk about it a lot about how they're kind of more global in their approach, and they're really looking at being a king of these indies, and they work with Destiny in Canada. They work with all these smaller companies, and they use them as kind of a way for the guys to get extra work in and build up the local scene, and have these guys, like Halal Beefcake, get to work with more high caliber talent like the likes of Austin Aries and what have you that come through the promotion for this one night only. Very exciting stuff. But yeah, so technically David Arquette is going to be on an Impact show because it's an Impact one night only, but it's also a BCW show, really. But yeah, David Arquette making his Impact debut. Very excited. There's got to be a joke here about taking Austin Aries' title, but, it's not going to happen. It would just be funny. Meanwhile, in NWA news, Jim Cornette has been announced for the 70th anniversary show main event to call that match with Tony Schiavone. So we've got Tony Schiavone, Jim Cornette, classic announced team. It's going to have a very old school vibe. I'm not a huge fan of this move. I mean, Cornette is Cornette. He's very firmly in the past. He's very firmly in nostalgia. He doesn't really have much of an eye for progress. And the latest NWA stuff has all been kind of, 1 foot in the past, 1 foot in the future. We respect where we're from, but we look clearly at where we're going, and we build towards where we're going. And that's what's been so exciting about NWA, and that's what's been able to build them this new buzz with the whole Aldis and Cody thing, and the 10 Pounds of Gold series and everything that they do on YouTube. It just seems like a little bit of a step backward to have. I feel like, Tony Schiavone is good because he's nostalgic, but also now. And then you could have had someone else to represent the future instead of having Jim Cornette just firmly representing the past. I mean, I'll watch and see, and I'll see how he goes, and I'll review it at the time. But just my gut feeling is it's not a great move. Also, that main event has had a stipulation added to it. This happened today, just hours ago, at Ring of Honor Death Before Dishonor. During the Chaos and Bullet Club match, Nick Aldis was on guest commentary, and he said that the match is going to be a 2 out of 3 falls. Cody accepted it. Lagana and Corgan approved it. 2 out of 3 falls for the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship. That's fantastic. And once Aldis loses, he has no recourse for a rematch because he will have lost 3 times to Cody. That's putting someone over. That's putting Cody over big. So, very excited for this 70th anniversary. That's coming up. It's only a few weeks away. And that's going to be streaming live on Fight, which of course you can sign up for. ZEZ1041 is the code when you sign up to get yourself $15 credit. It also throws $10 our way, helps you get a pay-per-view, helps us get a pay-per-view. Everyone wins, and you get to watch things like Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, Reality of Wrestling, and of course Ring of Honor TV every week. That's Fight TV. Use the code ZEZ1041. Moving on with the news, Shaul Guererro has signed with Women of Wrestling as a ring announcer. She will make her debut at the October 10th event in LA, taking over for David McLean. David McLean, of course, was the original voice and promoter of Glow and of Women of Wrestling. Glow, not the Netflix series, the actual original wrestling promotion Glow, which the Netflix series is based on. Basically, they heard Shaul Guererro talk and said, hey, we need her to be our new announcer to take over. I wonder if this new Women of Wrestling is going to have a more serious approach, or if it's going to be kind of skits and comedy stuff, much like the original Glow. I'm definitely curious to see how this plays out. They've got a TV deal as well. I think it's on Access TV. I think I talked about it a few weeks ago. I should know this, but I don't for some reason. It's just, I mean, look, right now I'm recording this, it's 2 a.m. So, you forgive me for not having all the facts straight. I'm getting quite tired, but we're getting towards the end. DDT, that is Dramatic Dream Team, the Japanese promotion, famous, of course, for the Iron Heavy Metalweight Championship, which has been defended and changed over 1,000 times. It has been held by a spring roll, and then the spring roll lost the match by death, I suppose, when it was eaten. The belt held itself at one point in the title's history. The belt pinned the champion and became the champion, technically earning its freedom. How did anyone manage to win it after that? It owned itself for the first time in history. A title belt actually owned itself. It was emancipated. It could have voted, got a driver's license. You know, it was its own being. But alas, it was pinned. and it went on to be owned by someone else. Joey Ryan had a run with this title. Meiko Satomura has had. Everyone has had this title. It's kind of, everyone has had this title. It's kind of like the Sunny of championship belts. But seriously, DDT, they're known for a lot of their wild and wacky stuff that they do. They're coming to New York in April for WrestleMania weekend. They're going to be a part of the WWN experience with other companies like Evolve. I believe Progress is a part of the WWN experience generally, because they co-promote with Evolve when they do these. A whole bunch of other companies are going to be coming over. There's going to be more announcements for the WWN experience, but DDT making their American debut, their New York debut, very exciting. I hope that some of the Tokyo Joshi Pro girls get to come over, because Tokyo Joshi is fantastic, and I would love to see that get some exposure on WrestleMania weekend. Also on WrestleMania weekend is, of course, Wrestlecon, and the first announcement of... So for anyone who's going over for WrestleMania weekend, this is going to be very important for you. The first talent announcements for WrestleCon have come out. These are people that are going to be doing signings and have booths and what have you. Alicia Atut from Impact, Bandido, Colt Cabana, Sami Callihan, Ray Phoenix, Shane Helms, John Hennigan, Impact Mundo Morrison, Johnny Something, WWE Hall of Famer Teddy Long, Pentagon Jr., Joey Ryan, Taya Valkyrie, Hall of Famer Ricky Steamboat, many, many more. I just sort of picked out the few highlights. There was a bunch of others, all announced for WrestleCon. So if you're heading over to WrestleMania, make sure you head up WrestleCon as well, because WrestleCon is a fantastic event where you get to see all kinds of legends and new talent alike. The people that you're not going to see at WWE, you're going to see them at WrestleCon. Someone we hope will be back in time for WrestleCon. Someone we hope will be back in time for WrestleMania weekend, perhaps doing a Lost in New York too? Who knows? Found in New York, maybe. Joey Janela. Joey Janela, unfortunately this week, was injured during a match with Psychosis. He took a dive to the outside and he tweaked his knee pretty badly. You can catch a video of it online. It's pretty brutal. He immediately knew something was wrong. They had to end the match early, finish the match, call it on the spot and finish the match. He got back in the ring after the match and got on the microphone and sort of spoke to the crowd very emotionally because he knew that something had gone wrong, and he was very clear with them, like, hey guys, I'm hurt, this is not good, and this sucks because I have a lot of momentum right now, and this is going to derail me, but when I come back, I'll come back better than ever. He since has, there's been a few days there, he's gotten checked out. We have a list of the extent of the injuries. It's pretty bad. A complete or near PCL tear, a complete tear of the MCL distally, an impaction fracture of the medial femoral condyle, mild bone contusion of the lateral tibial plateau, sprain of the fibular collateral ligament, a partial tear of the medial patellofemoral ligament, the ACL sprain, and a small knee effusion. That's a lot of bad stuff to be happening inside that leg. You got to imagine some of these were there and just he didn't realize them, and now they're all aggravated from this bad landing. It was a really bad landing though, so they could have just all occurred at once. Pretty bad stuff. He's going to be out for, it looks like, roughly 10 months or so, depending on how much of a machine he is in recovery. Hopefully he'll make it back in time for WrestleMania weekend, but there's no guarantee. Unfortunately, it looks like this means he will be pulling out of the November World Series Wrestling Tour. Keep your eye on the Aussie Graps episode to find out what's happening there and to find out whether or not a replacement has been announced, because I will announce that on the Aussie Graps episode, of course. Joey Janela, get well soon, man. He's a favorite of mine, and it sucks to see this happen, especially right after All In, and he's riding this wave of momentum from Lost in New York and All In, and he's doing really good stuff on MLW, and now gone. He's the WWN champion at the moment in Evolve, and now gone. So keep your eye out for Joey Janela for his return, because he's promised he will come back bigger and better than ever, and I believe him. He's got a bright future ahead of him, this guy. So keep your eyes on Joey Janela. Get well soon, man. And that does it for this week on All the Rest. Thank you so much for joining us. If you like this episode, make sure you check out, as I mentioned at the top of the show, we have episodes on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So that's 5 episodes a week. 5 hours, roughly. At a minimum, because then we also do bonus episodes on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We do this month in Pure Wrestling. We do this month in Brit Res. We do previews for big Australian shows. We do previews for Super Showdown this week is coming. So definitely hit that subscribe button if you can. Like, share, subscribe, comment, tell a friend. We really appreciate you for listening. You can follow us on the socials. I am at Greg Unchained on Twitter, at the Greg Unchained on Instagram. We collectively are known as the B Plus Wrestle on Twitter because wrestling wouldn't fit the B Plus Wrestling everywhere else. Hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button, leave us a 5-star review on iTunes if you feel so inclined, because we love wrestling, you love wrestling, it's a match made in heaven. Thank you so much for listening.
Hold one! Arm drag!
You're not doing this. Get out. Let me tell you a personal story about Vince McMahon.
You just made the list!
So, no speak English.
Dummy!
Goodbye and good night.
Hold 2! Arm bar!
This is the worst town I've ever been in.
It's still real to me, damn it!
Dummy!
Hold 3. The moss covered